We'll have to wait and see who's able to claim those spots. Can that big game start to pop off for any of those teams at risk? Can they accumulate the points here as we reach our halfway mark? It is match number 12 of our set of 24.
Playing path on our screens coming from the western coast all the way across to just the south side of Lipovka there, down towards Milton Power. So very southern playing path for us at the moment. So there's no military base obviously open. We'll see which teams decide to head on down there early on. If any teams do choose to pick that one up. This is a pretty good time for Mad Bulls to actually drop out towards Primos instead of heading towards some of their alternative drops up towards school and apartments, which is absolutely fine for them. Again, not finding too much success from that position all that often. LGD up towards South George very early with R8 on the top side. Is lack of scouting comes to bear, which I think absolutely it does. I think their early game seems fairly decent, but then it's just a case of they get real caught up in a lot of their rotations, unsure where to head next, how to head there, and then these rotations are just scuffed, sadly.
South Plain path cuts a lot. Any teams looking to move up to the north might struggle, especially on that eastern side, but already some early spread outs. Georgia Pole should be accessible. Severny may be a little bit too far to go, but I'm sure there's plenty of choices, plenty of options here. Close by for R8 and LGD though. We see them drop close to one another quite a lot. CCC actually with an M4 up the top of the hill. Can he get the spray onto Bandar? Not going to be able to spin him out either. On for the reload, but will not be able to land.
Yeah, I mean, that's a moment of pressure right on your side, that you know that you instantly have to get over this ridge side. Hope there's none of the enemy team over there either. So a lot of things going through your head in those moments to try and hit those shots. And again, the M4 probably has the worst iron sights in the entirety of the game. It is horrid to ADS down and actually find your target. You're more ideally looking for like a red dot at the start of the game, or you know, you could get perfect loot luck and just get a 3x as well. Again, tough stuff there. I mean, for LGD, they really could have got a much better result. Luckily for them, though, they are on that northern side, so they're still in crates, and R8 are in a weird spot right now where they are encroaching on other territories like M-Tech Storm down towards that south side, and may have to pass up through LGD, but they've already set up the blockade across South George Hospital as well as crates.
Will be a little bit further south and maybe longer to get that loot. With the hard east circle, they don't have a lot of time. There's a lot of water in this one. Blank again goes for our water theme today. Last game was a little bit of an exception, but it is Miramar, so you can forgive it. Law, are you? Law doing some buggy acrobatics there out in the open.
That was kind of a 720 flip on the side. You know,
8 out of 10 from the judges.
Kick flipping off the buggy. You like to see it. Happy days. I mean, we're not back in those days where Papa Roach is as popular as they once were, but still, you like to see some skateboarding action off the back of the buggy. I8, currently not massively under our eyes. I don't think anyone's really looking at them too much at the moment. Just a standard team, realistically. Not doing anything too special, not making too many mistakes either. Currently sat in 9th place with 82 points. Really, these guys are the first massive step up at the moment in the lobby, from the Infinity being at 64 points and I8 being in 9th place with 82. So for I8, it has been a better performance today from them, considering they were in that bottom 5 towards the beginning of the day. They've managed to creep their way out of there, which is great to see. But again, not a team that is really, you know, flashing in front of our eyes, demanding our attention.
There is not that big draw, not just yet. But they have been fairly successful in their campaign. And as you can see, they have reaped the rewards of that. Up in 3rd place now. Playing out on the eastern side. This is a good circle for them. The question for me is, when will they regroup and where will they regroup to? I mean, we saw Titan get punished for not regrouping early when they were down south on Miramar. And this feels like a similar situation.
I mean, with Lipovka being all the way on that eastern side, I think it's easy enough for them to actually get towards that west, because unlike Titans over in Los Egos, right? It was a case of a lot of teams could slink underneath them or backfill them on that top side. I don't think Buram are really expecting many people to come in through on the warships outside of Lipovka on the east to backfill them inside Lipovka. So they should be just okay. And this is a fairly typical drop towards the Lipovka side anyway, getting one player up towards Mansion and one player down towards Shelter inside Prison, getting as much loot as possible onto this team early on. And with them controlling most of the circle right now, being able to get every single player nice and looted early on and have tons of smokes, tons of grenades available, be level 3'd, they'll be able to pick themselves one of these high priority compounds towards the center of this circle and then play the game out from there. So I think this is a good idea from Buram, expecting a lot of teams to be on that western side with the west to east playing path.
Aegon XIA moving in towards the eastern bridge of Military Island. DRS may be looking to try and stop that. DRS with an outpost on the north side of the bridge already in the form of rules. S2G making their way across open ground, very, very close by to MTech Storm. They'll be able to cut it down with a little bit of Road Fury. Unfortunately, there are players waiting to try and take those shots back. A wheel does get popped out, and actually Calci dropped as well, out in the open. Reloads will need to come through, but there's a Mini 14 and a 3X. That's going to be plenty devastating enough. Silas actually continues to kind of get spun out here with the wheels just going down, deflated, but fortunately able to roll to cover.
I mean, for Silas, that is real painful. Also gets hit up there too with Tarman. I mean, the majority of MTech Storm was set up in such a way that they were completely surrounding that position that Chicken was on. And I would say S2G lose two of their most crucial players on what was quite the greedy pickup in the vehicle. I mean, Calci going down as well as Silas. Silas being like your backstop operative and being an anchor for the team, and Calci just being massively important when it comes to those clutch moments. S2G certainly going to be kicking themselves here, because this could have been a game on a angle where they might have been able to pick up a bunch of points and actually even that gap with Influence Chemin. I mean, it will really depend on how well Influence Chemin do this game, because if they do badly, I think S2G will be very unhappy with themselves.
A roll-up for Box right on top of Titan, in the same vehicle as well. They don't get punished for it. Puncher back down into the shelter. But Aegon XI8 have sightlines over towards the entrance. A difficult push for Box. Bensu a little bit out in the open, and maybe the gun jumped a little bit there for Aegon XI8, but fortunately IQ is there, ready and waiting. Break tries to answer, not going to go well, and will pop the nade over the top for Scry, which brings them a little bit even. Bensu hiding now, and Titan, they've been given a lifeline.
I mean, Titan Scarpers underneath into the shelter. Box Gaming at least get that one knock over towards IQ, who really is that member of I8 who tosses those grenades and finds the most amount of impact from them. So getting rid of him whilst you're inside a ditch, very nadeable range as well. Him being knocked gives you a bit of time to regroup and rethink the options going forward. Again, this is difficult because Titans will have moved all the way through shelter to the other side and now have sightlines on both of these teams, which makes it quite the scary position going forward. R8 very, very slow on their rotate. Super determined to actually take up loot over towards North George. And now S2G with their rotate up towards the northeast. If they had 4 players, this could have been such a good game for them. Instead, BTR are more than likely going to spot their rotate coming downwards.
Box move into the shelter as well. To figure out how to move a little bit further north, as we have a little bit of a hard shift up that way. Bigatron clashing with the remainder of S2G. It's going one way, then the other. Razy looks to try and get a point, a flush, something as an answer for their situation right now. They've got 2 limbs, and Bigatron are going to lose one of theirs. Razy on the in with the Micro Uzi close range, swaps out for the M4. Both low on ammo, will need to force a reload here, but Bigatron do not want to let him get that opportunity. A spray out goes good for one, but Jen Foster will be rezzed here. Bigatron take down the remainder of S2G.
Yeah, this is what we'd assume would happen, but Influence came in actually very close to this engagement, rotating slowly on that northern side, could even decide to get involved in this. Unfortunate that Misery goes down during that engagement. Again, I think think one thing that BTR could improve on just a little bit is team play. I think oftentimes when you see them take these engagements, it is some 1v1s. And I think they've realized that towards the end of a fight, if they live that long, it's like, right, we need to start taking these 2v1s and isolating some of these opponents. But by that time's gone, they've lost 1 or 2 players. This time it's not so bad. 3 players being alive and being very central in the circle coming out from Yaz is decent, and they will be happy with this.
Buradam getting that regroup on. Will not be punished. Good news. Aegon XA8 moving in close by. They know exactly where they are, but they don't really have the sight lines. The foliage cover is there. DRS on the south side, moving away from Mill to Power now, trying to get a little bit further up north, dropping to the beachhead, but really not too many people close by to this. Everyone's moved west from Lipovka, the Infinity a little bit further up than they are. So DRS have a little bit of a clear shot into this edge of the circle.
It can definitely take their time with it. Again, Lipovka, like you said, been vacated. There's a easy rotational path up there and maybe slip round on the eastern side, so you're unseen as you make that rotate. Again, you're assuming that people aren't inside Lipovka, which is probably a decent assumption. I don't think anyone would head there too early on, especially when they circle up towards the northern side. More than likely going to start to center up towards these crossroads. Mad Bulls loses a player on the rotate inwards. It seems to be a reoccurring trend for this team. Unable to find any kind of footholds inside the circle and crumpling as they enter.
Box want to give themselves some smoke cover, seemingly want to challenge in towards the central mansion area, towards the central set of buildings there. The shift comes back mainland. It's fairly kind. It could have been a little bit more of a dastardly circle if it had shifted out further east. We've seen these coastal areas be finished on before. It is not easy. So a lot more playable terrain with this sort of a shift.
100%. Mad Bulls able to get all 4 players back up, which is great news for them. Usually on their rotate inwards, they will suffer because of that. Luckily for them, they're able to actually get in, find some kind of purchase. But once again, the circle moves away from them. They have to rethink the scenario, the ideal options.
The scrap starting to coalesce between the 2 teams fighting off there. Titan looking to stay alive with 3. Aegon XA8 close by to it as well. Being spotted out. I think that's Bigatron just next to them. It is, in the buildings. Luxy really wants this shot, but does get the cross on the windows. Luxy moving in at the back as well. Titan are launching nades over the box just further south of this engagement. And Break falling there. Actually, Aegon XI8 will be able to find that final piece. And with it, Box will fall 15th place. This is not good news for a bubble team.
Not at all. Again, they still have a little bit of buffer between them and MTech. And with MTech Storm losing 1 player, it's okay for them. Again, not a massive match that Mad Bulls would need to overtake to get above Box or the Infinity. And with both them hemorrhaging players, maybe a potential here as they move up towards that western side and try and enter just underneath Yaz Naya. R8, I think Max is dead on the money there. It was very difficult to make any kind of information gathering because they decided just to stay out the blue the entire time, in which case LGD waiting for them. They were like, right, where's R8? I guess we'll just sit up here, wait for them to make their rotate over the top of Severny, and just send shots down towards them. Already a good nade comes out the pocket. Another nade goes down, a little bit long, but that could have been amazing. A nade on the side of LGD.
LGD's strategy does have a name blank. It's called the R-Wait.
That's right.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I mean, that's fair play.
That's me. See you guys later.
R8 sent packing, but across the fields as well. I mean, this is not the best of rotational paths that you're being forced into. Suki will finish up ID7, but now R8 have to figure out what kind of options are available to them now because they're moving through the fields. More than likely, there are going to be teams set on the outside. You can see Team Queso, Nigma Galaxy, Influence Chemin as well on this side. So everyone would be ready and waiting for this. Once again, LGD, Team Queso, Mad Bulls left out in the storm here as the circle moves down towards the southeast side. This has been probably one of the most variable shifts on the circles today. BTR happy with this though, and able to hold on to that singular compound that has those rooftops which are really good to play off the top of. So I think these guys should be happy with this.
We'll have to move a little bit south. That shimmy needs to come through at some point, but it's got a little bit of time to play with. With the teams also from the north side needing to move in, they might be able to control that, but they might lose time in terms of going for positions that could be stronger into the next phases. I mean, Enigma Galaxy now hold a roadside compound that's going to be fairly strong. Can they put up the numbers that they've been denied so far today?
I mean, at this point in time, it's going to be difficult for a lot of these teams to find some good positions on the map. I mean, Influence came in right now just looking to see if they can spot some of these rotations, maybe pick up some eliminations on the way through. Mad Bulls look like they were going to try and crash over towards where 4 rivals are playing. They lose a player on the approach. Again, they haven't been able to do much scouting of their own coming all the way from Primorsk, so just trying to find a place that they can stay. They realize that 4 rivals currently hold that compound, so they'll have to send elsewhere.
Mad Bulls moving up towards the north side, close to Team Queso. We'll have a little bit of rolling cover there. That slope just giving them enough of an opening to move in on the western side of this circle. There's trees in between them and Aegon XI8, but they have been spotted. Monkey, in effect, the main brunt bearers here. Effect will go down, get flushed out as well out in the open. Effect knocked to boot, but Aegon XI8 taking damage from across the way. It's 4 rivals actually chiming in. Plenty of teams are looking their way now as Enigma Galaxy light them up to boot. Zerich on the top floor takes a nade, and Skillsers will have to look for that res at some point from Titans.
Yeah, Teek's just going to send another one in, assuming all the little rooms that these players might be playing within at the moment. I mean, 2 grenades still in the pocket. Moves out, and I mean, Puncher's looking to pick up the new position with 5 grenades of his own. They just want to get rid of these players inside this building. Teak gets all the way up close and personal.
I think they know that Skillsers is there. He pushes forwards for the challenge instead. Up to the staircase, a dangerous spot to be playing. There's so many sightlines being held by Titan right now. It's very difficult to find any sanctuary into these circles, into this building. Puncher puts a nade on the outskirts. Skillsers drops the Molotov on the staircase. Zerich still bleeding away. Nades rolling down. 6 yet to really enter into the fight, but finally, Teak lands one. And that's all that was needed. Oh, it was Puncher, actually, who was able to pop that one through. And it was only a matter of time as we hop straight on over to Influence Kemen, who are engaged in a little bit of a scrap coming through with LGD on the north side. They haven't moved from this position. Influence Kemen trying to hold off now. All 4 of them are alive. Law on the outside with an off angle. Suki playing close contact. CCC skirting around the edge. LGD have that off angle as well, Blank.
All these players will have to move though. Influence Kemen just drops out the top side, looks to just finish the fight off quickly. But immediately it's Suki dropping out the side of the building, but these refrags are coming through thick and fast. Ooh. But it will be instead Enigma Galaxy from along the way that spots out these players and looks to finish them off here. Unlikely that Law's going to be able to get any of these players back up on their feet as they're outside in the blue. The worst timing for Influence Kemen to get caught up in an engagement between them and LGD. They do live longer regardless. In front of S2G, I think S2G would be very happy.
LGD didn't really need to go for that fight fully. They weren't in this circle. I mean, sure, if they'd been embroiled in it for a while, but it felt like there were other options and they could have left Influence Kemen behind and tried to crash for a closer in compound. I mean, there's probably plenty of moving parts of that decision, but I have to question it a little bit.
I think you wonder if you can immediately crash up, get some nades through the window, clear out that team, and then move forward. I mean, passing by them is a pretty horrible option as well because you're more likely going to get shot at. So you'd rather put up a fight in the process. The Infinity also in a similar position, trying to put up a fight versus any other team. R8 living for quite some time now. They were sort of aimless on their rotates, going from one side of the map to the other, but finally found a little bit of safety to call their own.
10th place potentially on the cards for Enigma Galaxy as they're left with just Freak alive. So far, they've had a disaster of a day. And Freak's trying to rectify that. Get as much as they can here. 3 eliminations. Getting top 5 would be such a relief, if nothing else, for them.
I mean, with DRS with 4 players as well, I mean, this is a case where even I8 with 7 eliminations, there is a potential that we see Enigma Galaxy drop down to maybe a 7th place at this point in time, maybe an 8th if they're really unlucky. And that from 2nd to 8th in the day after you had such a buffer set up for yourself is a real terrible result, and they'll have to bring something back up to speed. Again, R8, I would say that these guys are definitely the wanderers of the lobby right now. They're just unable to find anything and keep finding themselves caught up in action where they did not want to locate it.
But now the Infinity are going to take up the mantle of the engagement on the north side, as Buriram also moving in on the east. The Infinity, Bigatron, and Buriram all taking this fight here. Law from Influence came in a little bit further ahead of it, but as a solo player, don't want to get involved. Nades flying back and forth. Bigatron really have the crunch on the Infinity at this stage. Buriram do not have sightlines over to Bigatron and vice versa. So it is really all over towards the Infinity, and they are falling like flies.
Yeah, they're 100% pinched right now. It's going to be a difficult approach. BTR should be somewhat aware there is another team over towards this side of the map. I mean, 3 players from BTR clearing out that team on the eastern side is a smart option, rather than letting that fight go on for too long. Clearing that out and then allowing maybe Buriram to head down towards the south side affords you a little bit more space. Law, once again, soloing it. The snake of the lobby at the moment. Teak from Titans and Co over towards that southwest side alongside with DRS. Zuxi, though, hitting some nutty shots here with the M14. Not a typical weapon you usually see used at long distance, but the only thing you have, you work with what you've got.
I mean, the M16 single fire, it can work as sort of a pseudo DMR, obviously with the fairly recent DMR buffs. It's not quite as powerful, but still useful in the right hands. It seems like Zuxi's the guy to do it.
I think that might be the right option to pull out the 6x and just go for the spray, considering he's looking for that. Very dangerous to remain in the same spot for too long, and so close to getting that double knock on the almost outside the blue there as well. Real unfortunate for BTR. They almost cleared out one of their biggest opponents in the lobby on this eastern side.
Not only for this game, but in terms of the overall standings as well. I mean, they're 4th place right now, hunting down Buriram's total in 3rd.
Again, BTR have had the central part of the circle for a long time, and now finally having to move. This would be a good test for them, considering they've had a few times who've had that central circle to themselves. Over an angle, a little bit more difficult for them, heading down towards that south side. Still a good game from them. Miramar, definitely I would say they had the lion's share of the circle to themselves at the beginning of the game. But again, this now is a good test for BTR. Is how they play out this exit, how they play out this escape. Unfortunately, My Name's already found a pick over towards Zuxi, which is going to slow them down. The circle is getting ever closer to them. They're running out of options at this point, John. Things are getting complicated.
As Kate Bush would say, they're running out of hill, right? That's what she says. To be running.
I mean, they will definitely have to run up this hill if they want to get out. And Jem Foster taking a nade like that is tough news. And Buriram is really not playing into their hand either. I mean, BTR have all pulled out grenades ready for the push coming through from Buriram. But instead, they're just playing the waiting game, playing it patiently. Luckily for them, DRS, though, comes in with a savior.
A lot of shots over towards Buriram's position on the northeast side of the circle. Puts them a little bit further back, but Bigatron still yet to capitalize on this. Fortunately, they seem to have found another route of egress over towards Aegon XI8, but DRS, with the oversight onto that position, it's much less favorable to be pushing into this spot. Ghost, the last to fall, will be clocked, and Jen Foster, a threatening presence as always.
Picks up that limb, and Law from Influence came in, actually getting up towards a 6th place position. Again, all in his lonesome. Nice. Really good just to send this guy out. His strategy at the moment is just send central to the circle. If it shifts away from me, it shifts away from me. I just go right to the edge and look out into the blue, so only half my body is out in the circle itself. seems to be working just fine, so that's fair play. But then we're able to restabilize on that northeast. DRS did cause them some serious problems.
He's been spotted. Oh, he's gotten away with it for now, but look at that. Oh my god. I think 3 teams are now taking shots at Law.
I mean, he has to just kind of do the dance around this loot crate for the time being. I don't think he's even thinking about pulling out anything else. Good play from him, though. I like that he waited to pick up the level 3s from the actual loot crate before he took some serious damage, which is very, very smart. Now he can potentially weather the storm out for a little bit longer, especially if he's only got little to no meds on board. BTR still making their way down. Looks like Teak was spotted for just a second. But yeah, some very big teams around here, all looking to put the pain into one another. And with this circle heading down towards the south, it really doesn't help anyone out. A really cool ending to this zone, though, John, with so much tree line available to them. This is kind of like warfare in the woods.
I'm interested to see what 4 Rivals can do here. As a team towards the bottom of the tables that wants to close that gap. Right now, at the start of the game, they were looking at a 15-point difference between them and 11th place.
Great shot, jeez.
They can stay alive for a little bit longer. They might be able to achieve that. 5 teams remain, 3 eliminations. They can ladder up twice with 2 more eliminations. They will be able to make that total. And the further they can get, the better. DRS really harrying the Titan team over on the back, on the west side.
Ooh, Jem Foster playing stealthy here. Zuxi also finding Budoram Tiger gives them really good time to move up into the circle and opens up that rotational path. This is really well done by BTR. They are playing a slow but steady game at the moment. Zuxi going down though, bad news, but he's already done the damage over to the rest of Budoram.
And Law is just vibing in the middle of it. All bullets whizzing over his head. But you're keeping it down. You're stopping from catching any of them. And with a DP as well, there's potential that you could hold out on a crash. Bigatron getting curtailed here. DRS struggling. Everybody's holding everybody else out. DRS on 4, sure. But the western side, the blue zone will push them away. That's going to open them up to teams like 4 Rivals on the south side.
Influence Kemin up to 5th place finish. DRS, though, might be looking for this loud win. We've waited for something flashy all day. Fortunately, it will be one of them going down as they try and get out of the compound. Law still waiting in the wings.
4 Rivals really going to have an impact here. Killer blooms the smoke. Sky only does spot Pui, but get the rock back to cover. Not in the next zone.
I mean, you're 100% right. 4 Rivals, this game is so important for them at the moment. Rules is sending out, and Law definitely will have to deal with that guy. There's some serious problems for him, but looks like he's only got eyes for Budoram at the moment. Another team with a really good spot within the circle. Again, circle moves away from both of these teams at the moment. It's only Law who's getting the look here.
Rules. Oh, he's been spotted. Budoram ready for the team shots. Immediately hits the deck. Vehicle goes up, but he did get away from it.
So
Rules.
close.
Very, very low. Pui very close to Killer. I don't think he knows.
At this point.
He doesn't know.
He's stood up though, and this might be an opportunity for 4 Rivals to find at least one. Further he crawls around that way. For DRS, 5 eliminations from the position they've held this game. Yeah, they've got a huge amount of knocks, but really not a lot of these things getting transferred across. And that's 2 eliminations going through in an instant towards DRS's side. Now Budoram are going to make their breakout.
Well, Law's there, and they're getting cut down as well. Sky only, there's no way you make that crossing. 2 players alive for DRS. My name has been spotted as well out in the open. I think those bullets hit the shot, and Law finally unveils his presence here.
He's got so much cover though. What?
He has so much.
This is amazing, and now we're really evening things up. So it's a 1-1-2-2, and there's a massive opportunity. He might be able to get this done, but that nade might just be the death of him.
That's got to be. I mean, it has to be. There's no way you're getting away from that. Oh, it's low.
He's got 5 though, but he has to move out of the blue. He can't stay in this for much longer. Might have whiffed the nade on that. Oh, just about gets it.
I thought
that was important.
I thought he was still there. I thought Lord survived that on a sliver of HP, but no. And now my name can move up to the same position.
Yeah, good refresh. There's no one else in range to be picking up any of this other loot, or in range to send the nades over the top. And Budoram, you know, even with the one player, like you said, taking up the mantle of influence, Kemin here in one of the most unreal positions set up by a loot crate, a rock, and a vehicle is insane.
A loot crate, a rock, and a buggy walk into Erangel. And we're waiting for the punchline. There's 4 rivals and TRS all know there's a player there.
It's a perfect spot to play in, but Gante with an unreal barrage of bullets coming in their way. DRS weathered the storm. Now just 4 rivals who've been waiting in the wings finally make their presence known on the stage.
This is a massive game for them, Blank. The 4 rivals needed this to jump up out of that elimination bracket. That red zone at the bottom of the tables that nobody wants to be stuck in. At the moment, 4 rivals on 4 eliminations in second place have guaranteed that they will be able to jump out of it for now. Can they hold that spot? 4 rivals take a lot of damage, and can they streak out further? Popping that first aid immediately. DRS for a big game as well to try and challenge for the top spots, but Pui goes down. Moki wants to spray, but he's half HP, low already. Through the smoke, the bullets are flying, and not able to get an answer. Delta moves forwards, playing with the edge of the smoke, edge of the blue zone as well. Teammate falls on the ground, steps up, looks at the drop shot, so close! But it's DRS in the end to take home the chicken dinner, waving the flag. And finally, good news for DRS fans. I'm sure the chats are lighting up across the world.